I already ranted to my husband. I calm myself down on the 20-minute ride home, but I still feel the need to share my doctor's visit experience with you. At this particular practice, there is one doctor and a few physician associates. Overall, we've been happy with the physicians and their associates, but their front desk is extremely subpar. They are very hard to get a hold of. They have forgotten more than once to send medication to the pharmacy. All 5 of my family members are patients at this practice. Some of the front desk actually let me know that they do follow me. So this is a little bit more nerve-wracking to make, but it needs to be done. I've been sick for a little while and we're planning on traveling for Thanksgiving. So I thought I need to go to the doctor and figure out if this is just sinuses or if there's something else going on. If it is just sinuses, I need a prescription at this point. I made an appointment for this morning. My husband and I even talked about how when I got there, I was going to address with the doctor the way their front staff runs things. And if there's a better way to get a hold of the doctor when the front desk won't answer their phone. Immediately upon walking into the office, there's an elderly woman and her son at the front desk, very upset. From what I gathered, they had an appointment today, but also had an appointment in like a week or two. And the front desk actually combined the appointments and said that they told the older woman over the phone, but she forgot. So now they were here. They couldn't see her today. The son was really upset. He was about to like go off, but he took a deep breath and he's like, okay, let's go. And then him and his mom left. And I was like, ooh. See, guess we're not the only ones that have issues. As I'm sitting in the waiting room past my appointment time, another gentleman comes in, he signs in and they say, do you have an appointment today? He says, yeah, it's my yearly physical. I made it like a year ago when I was here. They didn't have him on the schedule whatsoever, and they couldn't fit him in today either, so they had to reschedule him for sometime in December. I was like, whew, damn, it's a good thing I'm going to be addressing this issue today then. It's now about 25 minutes past the appointment time, and then the door opens. My actual physician's associate is the one that calls me back, not the medical assistant, but like the physician associate himself. I goes, I apologize, I don't know where so-and-so went, we are so behind, I'm going to take care of you, let's go. So he takes me into the first room where they weigh you and stuff. He goes, you're actually just here for sinus stuff. I'm going to be efficient. Let's just treat you right here in this room. I was like, okay, doesn't matter to me. So I sit down, he checks me out real quick, asks me the questions, and I have the history of sinusitis, but because I have a cough and he listened to my breathing, he said, I think maybe we should check for COVID. I was like, yeah, you know what? Go ahead. I'm supposed to travel. It'd be good to know if I do have COVID. He leaves the room to go get the COVID test. I hear the medical assistant, who he didn't know where she was, berating him. He closed the door behind him when he left and walked to the back of the office building to grab a COVID swab, and I could hear her yelling at him. He is an elderly man and she is younger than him. She was yelling at him that he went and got me from the waiting room to begin with, that he couldn't just wait 2 minutes for her to get to me, and then how he wasn't supposed to be seeing patients in that first room. Which, okay, if that's the rule, that's the rule. But she is yelling at him that the patients can hear what is going on. And then she realizes he's got a swab for a COVID test. And she goes, why are you going to run a COVID test? First of all, is she even with it enough that if she needs medication, she can take medication? Again, I said she follows me. She knows who I am. So yes, I can take medication, I assure you. And I hear her imply, yes, she can take medication. And let me tell you, he kept his cool this entire time as this woman is yelling at him. He goes, yes, she is coherent enough to take medication. Well, what are her symptoms? Because we don't even know that we're getting paid for these COVID tests. And I hear my physician's associate trying to explain to this medical assistant about what my symptoms are and why he feels the need to give me a COVID test because maybe my insurance isn't going to pay for it. At this point, as someone with anxiety and CPTSD, I did not feel comfortable being in this office anymore. So I grab my purse and my coat, and as I walk out the door, the front desk receptionist comes in. She's like, oh, are you okay? And I said, I honestly, and I was shaking at this point, I do not feel comfortable. I said, why is my physician being yelled at when he's trying to treat me? If he was doing something wrong, why is he being yelled at in front of all of the patients? We can hear everything. How am I supposed to feel comfortable with that? Whether you think I'm over the top or I'm overreacting, tell me how anybody is supposed to feel comfortable in a doctor's office when the medical assistant is berating the physician's assistant for just doing his goddamn job. So he hears me upset. He comes back and he tries to calm me down. I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. You should not be yelled at like this. I said, so now do I have to find a whole other doctor to go treat me? Or like, can you still give me my medication? I don't want you to give me a COVID test. Like, I don't know. So luckily he was able to send my script over and he apologized. And I said, so is the actual head doctor in today so I could speak with her? I was told, I don't know. I was told by her medical staff, they don't know where the head doctor was. This is a facility that oversees medication of 2 of my children. How am I supposed to feel comfortable going back to a facility like this, knowing that they are so comfortable berating each other in front of their patients? And unfortunately, it's not just this facility. There are so many discrepancies across the entire medical field. Trust me, I've seen a lot. Prior to being a stay-at-home mom, I was a state tested nurse's aide and a medical biller. I will say my physician acted so appropriately. He never raised his voice at the woman who was yelling at him, and he calmed me down enough, got my script, and sent me on my way. It is despicable that we live in a country where the medical staff has to be hesitant when testing somebody for an illness because they're afraid they're not going to get paid. Make it make sense.